Hello, this is As the World Burns. I'm your host, Randall Burns. One of the questions that has been brought up to me is, well, why would anybody bother with prediction markets or forecasting site like Metaculus when one can just look at polls for electoral forecasts? And I think the reason is that, first off, a poll is not an electoral forecast. A poll is an indicator. The actual election can vary considerably from polls, as we've seen, for example, with Trump versus Clinton in 2016. There's always some variation, okay? A prediction market or the results of a forecasting site like Metaculus are actually a probability estimate of a future event, and there's a difference. If you interpret the indicator correctly, you should be able to go on to a betting site and make money, or at least break even. You really should be able to make money if you have beyond a very small margin. The margin on predicted is fairly tiny, the cut that the house takes per bet. So if you really know something in the way of forecasting, you should be able to go on there and make money with your bets. And that is an indication on whether you're interpreting the polls correctly or not. And just a monkey choosing bets at random should be able to get onto predict it and only lose a small amount of their money each cycle. And I dare say that a lot of people get on there and they lose more than that. And the reason is because they are being manipulated by the advertising and information sources they're using. And that's one reason for doing that test. Even though it's likely that you're going to lose money, it's going to expose the specific blind spots and areas in which you are being manipulated so that you can take corrective action. Okay, at least have a stab at it. The other thing is that prediction markets and a forecasting site like Metaculus cover areas that may not be well covered by polls. Polls typically cover either areas of prediction or, areas of opinion or areas of voting behavior. They don't necessarily, they fairly rarely cover areas of prediction. Now, a Delphi method study is a specialized example of polling. It's a poll that's conducted iteratively by secret ballot until there are no changes, and it's one typically done to get a probability estimate of a future event if it's done well. And so that differentiates these a little bit, okay? And the other thing is that polls are typically something people take to get information, they look at to get information from. Metaculus and predicted are interactive. People participate in them, okay? And the other thing about with, like the market-based decision support you see in predicted is a tried and true method. It's at the core, something very similar is done by Lloyd's of London as a cornerstone of the insurance industry. And so by participating in that, you're learning a little bit experientially about the world that we live in and how the masters of the universe, as we call the financial moguls, are thinking. And you have to put yourself in their mindset to do well in that context. And by understanding their mindset, you understand something of the world that you live in. Now, I believe that there are problems in both forecasting sites and prediction markets. They both have limitations. Any prediction market has a currency. A bet that affects the value of the currency or is related to the value of the currency will have distorted odds. And that's an inevitable whole of that. Reputational forecasting sites like Metaculus do not have that limitation, but they do have other limitations. And they both have a limitation in their ability to do long run forecasting at this point. I'm going to do another episode on how I think that can be corrected. But for now, this is As the World Burns with Randall Burns, signing off for today. More to come. I am going to be doing material on a fairly frequent basis for this site. Please like this video if you think it was at all helpful. Feel free to make suggestions for future episodes and comments on how you think we can improve this. I do want to make this the best prediction-oriented channel that I can make it. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.